Would you trade 7 years of your life for the air you breathe? In Bangladesh, every breath has a price. Air pollution here doesn't just haze the sky, it steals 7 years of life from 166 million people. This is a land of 700 rivers, yet not a single one is clean. That shirt on your back? It was likely stitched by a woman earning $3 a day, in a nation still haunted by the 1,134 lives lost in a single factory collapse. It's a place where ancient tribal traditions like women sharing husbands exist deep within a conservative 90% Muslim society. The longest beach, the deadliest skies, the ultimate paradox. Welcome to Bangladesh, a nation of extreme contradictions you've never truly seen. Take a deep breath right now. If you were standing in Dhaka, that breath just shortened your life. Dhaka ranks as the second most polluted capital city on Earth, behind only New Delhi. The annual average PM 2.5 concentration sits at 68 micrograms per cubic meter. The WHO's safe annual limit is 5 micrograms. Dhaka's air is 13 times above that limit every single day. The Air Quality Life Index, a project from the University of Chicago, has found that every single person in Bangladesh, all 166.8 million, lives where air quality violates WHO standards. No exceptions. More than 150,000 people die prematurely every year from air pollution alone. Pollution shortens the average Bangladeshi life by between 5.5 and 7 years. In winter, smog settles over Dhaka so heavily that visibility drops to a few dozen feet. The city disappears inside its own pollution. If you live there, every breath you take is the equivalent of smoking 25 cigarettes a day. In the winter months, from November to February, the numbers climb past 300 micrograms, and the average resident is essentially smoking 40 to 50 cigarettes every single day, whether they touch tobacco or not. The cause most people overlook is not cars. It is brick kilns. More than 7,000 active kilns ring the city and scatter across the countryside, producing 27 billion bricks per year by burning coal and wood with almost zero filtration. They are responsible for 60% of Dhaka's fine particulate matter, 22% of its black carbon, and 17% of CO2 emissions in the region. Inside these kilns, men, women, and children work around the clock. No respirators, no protective gear, nothing between their lungs and burning coal smoke. Kiln emissions alone cause more than 6,000 additional premature deaths per year. What is the air quality like where you are watching this right now? Would you stay in your current city if you knew it was costing you 7 years of your life? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious where you guys are watching from. In most countries, breathing is free. In Bangladesh, every breath has a price. If the air doesn't kill you, the water will. What happens when a country of 700 rivers has not a single clean one? Imagine a river that runs completely black. Not dark blue, not murky brown. Black. The surface broken only by industrial foam drifting from bank to bank. No fish, no birds, no life. This is the Buriganga River, Dhaka's main waterway, the river that for centuries was the lifeblood of this region. Every single day, it now receives 4,500 tons of solid waste and 40,000 tons of untreated liquid industrial waste. The first source is leather. Dhaka's Hazaribagh district houses hundreds of tanneries that discharge approximately 1.25 metric tons of chromium into the river daily. Chromium is a known carcinogen, causing skin disease, respiratory failure, and cancer, and persists in the environment for years. Workers handle it with bare hands. Studies confirm that 58% of tannery workers suffer gastrointestinal disease, more than double the national average. The second source is textiles. The factories making clothing for the world's biggest brands dump chemical dyes directly into rivers. On any given day, the color of a Dhaka industrial canal depends entirely on which factory is discharging blue today, red tomorrow. But the most insidious threat is invisible. Beneath Bangladesh's soil lies arsenic, occurring naturally in the Bengal Basin's geology and released when wells are drilled. 62 of Bangladesh's 64 districts have arsenic-contaminated groundwater. Between 35 and 77 million people are exposed, and the world's largest mass poisoning event in recorded history. There is no cure. Arsenic accumulates slowly, causing skin lesions, organ failure, and cancer. 24,000 Bangladeshis die from arsenic-related illness every year. Only 42.6% of the population has access to safely managed drinking water. 70 million people lack any reliable, safe source. The government sells filtered water at roughly 25 cents per 18-liter container. For families on $2 a day, even that price is too high. The rivers poison the water. The factories poison the air. But one industry connects Bangladesh's suffering directly to your closet, and you may not realize your role in it. Stop for a moment. Look at the label inside the clothing you're wearing right now. Does it say, "Made in Bangladesh"? Bangladesh is the world's second largest apparel exporter, with 7.9% of global garment market share. The country has 5,200 registered factories, employing 4.4 million workers, 85% women. A Bangladeshi garment worker earns a minimum of approximately $113 per month, and 30% are paid even below that. Working days run 12 to 14 hours. Buildings are often structurally inadequate. Chemical dyes are handled without protective gear. Many workers develop respiratory disease and kidney damage within years. Most won't live to see 50. One of the most disturbing details to emerge from worker testimony is that female workers are routinely denied bathroom breaks. Supervisors enforce production quotas so aggressively that women cannot leave their stations. Over months and years, this creates one outcome: an epidemic of kidney failure caused not by any toxin, but simply by being forbidden to use a toilet. Then came April 24, 2013. The Rana Plaza factory complex in Savar was a 9-story building housing multiple garment factories. On April 23rd, workers noticed cracks spreading through the walls and support columns. They reported what they saw. They asked to stay home. Management said the building was safe. Management told them to come back the next morning. At 8:45 a.m., the building collapsed, all 9 stories, straight down, in seconds. 1,134 people died. Approximately 2,500 were injured. The deadliest structural failure in garment industry history. The international response produced the Bangladesh Accord on Fire and Building Safety, signed by more than 200 global brands, covering 1,600 factories. Conditions improved. The minimum wage remains $113 per month. The next time you buy a $20 t-shirt, someone else has already paid the real price. In Bangladesh, love does not come before marriage. For the vast majority of the population, love is expected to arrive after. Marriage is a family transaction parents negotiate on behalf of their children, weighing education, income, and social standing like a business deal. Dowry has been illegal since 1980. It is still demanded in the majority of marriages. Bangladesh has the highest rate of child marriage in all of Asia. 51% of girls are married before the age of 18. The rate was 75% in 1997. Here is the paradox. Bangladesh's longest-serving Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, who governed for more than 2 decades, is a woman. The country has had female leadership at the top for much of its modern history. Female authority at the top, female oppression at the bottom. But now we reach the fact that has been waiting since the beginning of this video. Deep in the hill regions of Mymensingh and Sylhet, there exists a community called the Mandi, also known as the Garo. They number approximately 25,000 people in Bangladesh, and they live by rules that overturn almost everything the surrounding Muslim-majority society believes about gender, property, and marriage. The Mandi are a matrilineal society. Property passes from mother to daughter, not from father to son. Women own the land and the house. In Mandi tradition, it is the woman who initiates a marriage proposal, not the man. In some Mandi families, a woman would share her husband with her sister or close female relative, a form of sororal polyandry that existed as a practical solution to a specific problem. Mandi men traditionally left the hills for dangerous work, died young, or migrated and never returned. Sharing a husband between sisters ensured no woman was left without support, and that children would be cared for. Today, approximately 90% of Mandi people have converted to Catholicism, and official accounts suggest the practice has largely faded. But local community leaders, speaking privately, say the old customs still echo in some households. A tradition does not vanish simply because an official statement says it has. Consider the picture: a polyandrous tribal community practicing matrilineal inheritance embedded inside a 90% Muslim nation governed by inheritance law awarding men twice the share of women. 2 completely different worlds, a few miles apart. And the final layer. In mainstream Bangladeshi society, public displays of affection between couples, even married couples, are strictly forbidden. Holding hands in the street is scandalous. Dress codes are enforced through social pressure that functions like law. Love is arranged. Affection is hidden. Yet family is everything. The Mandi tribe completely flips the script on the conservative world surrounding them. But what do you think? Can ancient, isolated traditions like women sharing husbands or leading the household survive in a modernizing country? Or are they destined to just fade away? Drop your thoughts down below, because this is a debate worth having. Stand on the beach at Sitakunda, north of Chittagong, and you will see something that looks like the end of the world. Stretched along miles of coastline, partially submerged and tilted at impossible angles, are the corpses of the world's largest ships' supertankers that once crossed entire oceans, container vessels longer than 3 football fields. They have all come here to die. Chittagong is the world's largest shipbreaking site. Approximately 40% of all large ocean-going vessels scrapped anywhere on Earth are dismantled here around 200 ships per year. Workers use hammers and cutting torches to tear apart structures weighing tens of thousands of tons without helmets or respirators. Inside those ships, sealed compartments contain asbestos, lead paint, and chemical residues from the vessel's last cargo. Since 2009, more than 470 workers have been killed in these yards, roughly 1 death per week for 15 years, with approximately 1 serious injury per day. The average life expectancy of a worker who enters this industry is less than 20 years from the date they begin. Beneath Dhaka's streets, thousands of men clean the sewer system by hand. No equipment, no gas detectors, wading through waste in complete darkness. The hazards are methane gas, drowning, and lethal infection. They earn a few dollars per day. Without them, the city collapses. They are never discussed. After all of this, the poison in the air, the toxins in the water, the collapsed factories, the ship graveyards, is there anything beautiful left in Bangladesh? The answer will genuinely surprise you. Bangladesh is smaller than the state of Iowa, and it holds 173 million people. The result is 1,335 people per square kilometer, the most densely populated large country on Earth. This land was built by water. The entire country sits on the delta formed by the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, and the Meghna rivers, converging and emptying into the Bay of Bengal. More than 700 rivers thread across the flat landscape, giving Bangladesh its oldest name, the Land of Rivers. In the southwest lies the Sundarbans, the largest mangrove forest on Earth, stretching across 10,277 square kilometers. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, home to approximately 114 Royal Bengal tigers, the only mangrove tiger habitat on the planet. On the southeastern coast lies Cox's Bazar, 120 kilometers or 74 miles of unbroken natural sandy beach, the longest uninterrupted natural sea beach on Earth. Not in Australia, not in Brazil, not in the Caribbean, in Bangladesh. The most polluted country on Earth also has one of the most breathtaking coastlines on Earth. Before sunrise, the rivers of Bangladesh are already alive. Hundreds of wooden boats converge, loaded with vegetables, fish, and spices, everything needed to feed communities unreachable by road because the roads are underwater. Children who grow up in these river communities learn to swim before they learn to walk, not as a sport, but as a survival skill as fundamental as breathing. The most important product in this floating economy is the hilsa, a silver fish that Bangladeshis regard with something approaching reverence. Bangladesh supplies 97% of the world's hilsa catch, and the tradition has been inscribed on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. When flooding makes the land disappear for up to 6 months a year, Bangladesh didn't surrender it. Put schools on boats. The Shidhulai Swanarvar Foundation operates 26 floating schools, solar-powered vessels with classrooms, libraries, computers, and internet access that navigate to communities regardless of whether the land beneath them is above water or below. The program serves approximately 160,000 people annually. It received a $1 million grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in 2005, and the WISE Award for Educational Innovation in 2012. Bangladesh also developed floating gardens, platforms of water hyacinth and compost, allowing crops to grow directly on floodwater during the months fields are submerged. The monsoon is not Bangladesh's enemy. It is Bangladesh's calendar. Resilience here is not a value. It is engineering. Bengali cuisine is one of the richest culinary traditions in South Asia, almost unknown in the Western world, where Bangladesh is recognized for floods and factories, but rarely for food. The foundation of every Bengali meal is rice and fish cooked with mustard oil, green chilies, and layered spices. Street food is abundant. Fushka hollow crispy shells filled with spiced chickpeas and tamarind water consumed by millions daily. Pitas, sweetened rice cakes, at every festival. Biryani available on almost every corner for less than 50 cents. Bangladesh consumes approximately 142 million cups of tea every single day. A specialty called tandoori cha is served in clay cups, the heat absorbing a faint earthy flavor before the cup dissolves back into the earth. But look closer. At most street food stalls, utensils are washed in a nearby bucket water from a canal or drainage channel, functionally the same as the city's open sewers. Food sits under open sky at temperatures reaching 95 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, exposed to flies and exhaust. In rural Bangladesh, during lean agricultural seasons, families eat locusts and beetles, not as a cultural practice, but because they are protein that can be caught for free. Some communities believe that drinking fresh goat blood confers strength. Raw animal liver is consumed at slaughter for the same reason. These are not traditions maintained by choice. They are adaptations made by people who do not have enough. Would you eat street food in Bangladesh? Drop your answer in the comments. There are roughly 800,000 men in Bangladesh with a job worse than pulling rickshaws. They are called manual scavengers. They climb down into the city's sewers and clean them by hand. They descend into septic tanks and drainage lines with no protective gear, no mask, no gloves, no harness. They wade through human waste in total darkness. The methane in those pits kills more than 100 of them every year. They earn around $4 a day. And here is the fact almost nobody talks about. Bangladesh is 91% Muslim, but roughly 98% of its sanitation workers belong to the Dalit Hindu minority. A community once branded as untouchables by the caste system South Asia formally abolished, but never really erased. The most devout Muslim country in South Asia runs its sewer system on a Hindu caste. The sons of scavengers inherit the job from their fathers. They are born into the pit before they are born into a name. They clean the city with their bare hands, and the city pretends they do not exist. Picture Dhaka at rush hour. A grinding, honking mass of auto rickshaws, buses, motorcycles, and pedestrians filling every lane. And then, in the middle of this, a cow lies down in the road. Everything stops, and traffic routes itself around it and waits. No one touches it. No one shouts. Around 9% of Bangladesh's population, 16 million people, are Hindu. For that community, the cow is not livestock. The cow is sacred. In several Hindu neighborhoods, slaughtering one can still get a man beaten or jailed. The reverence runs deeper than not eating beef. There is a ritual called Panchagavya, a mixture of 5 products taken from the living cow: milk, butter, yogurt, urine, and dung. Priests use it for ceremonial purification. Rural healers bottle the cow urine and sell it as medicine for skin conditions, digestive problems, even diabetes. They call this branch of folk medicine cowpathy. In 2002, the Indian government actually granted a patent on cow urine as a therapeutic product, and the World Health Organization had to formally warn against it. And then there is the dung. Around 60% of rural households across Bangladesh still dry cow manure into flat patties and burn them as cooking fuel. It is free, it is renewable, and it is slowly killing them. The smoke carries some of the highest concentrations of indoor fine particulate matter ever measured. Rural women who cook over dung fires for 3 hours a day inhale the equivalent of 40 cigarettes every single day just to feed their families. The WHO lists it as one of the leading causes of chronic lung disease in South Asian women. A 3-mile journey across Dhaka can take 2 hours. On a bad day, 2.5. Dhaka's traffic is by most measures the worst of any major city on Earth. Decades-old buses groan through streets designed for a fraction of today's volume. Climb to sit on roofs. During rush hour, every external surface of the commuter trains is covered with human bodies. And through all of this, in numbers impossible to comprehend, are the rickshaws. Dhaka is the rickshaw capital of the world. Between 400,000 and 600,000 human-powered three-wheeled vehicles operate here on any given day. The 2.2 million men who pull them pedal in heat reaching 104 degrees Fahrenheit, through air thick with exhaust, for wages at the absolute bottom of the urban economy. But look at the rickshaws themselves. 80% are hand-painted, not stenciled, painted by hand, covering every surface with vivid imagery. Royal Bengal tigers, Bollywood film scenes, fishing villages, mountain landscapes, in colors so saturated they glow through Dhaka's gray pollution haze. Threading through the worst traffic on Earth is a fleet of 500,000 rolling paintings. In December 2023, UNESCO formally inscribed Dhaka's rickshaw painting tradition on its representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity, the same institution protecting the Great Barrier Reef and the Eiffel Tower. And there is the train. Dhaka's commuter trains are so overcrowded that passengers ride on the roof, hang off the doors, and cling to window frames. Around 200 of them fall off and die every year. It has a name now. They call it the hanging ride. The most chaotic traffic in the world, moving through a mobile art museum. Suffering and beauty, pollution and color, desperation and ingenuity. All of it, every single day. When Bangladesh became independent in 1971, after a liberation war with Pakistan that killed hundreds of thousands, the outside world was brutal in its assessment. U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger reportedly called it an international basket case. Famine, flooding, and poverty seemed permanent. 50 years later, Bangladesh is one of the fastest-growing economies in Asia. Between 2009 and 2020, it maintained GDP growth consistently above 6%. In November 2026, Bangladesh is scheduled to officially graduate from the United Nations Least Developed Countries category to developing nation status. Economists now call it the next Asian tiger. Much of this momentum grew from one idea. Muhammad Yunus, a Bangladeshi economist, lent $27 to 42 women refused by every bank. They paid it back. Every dollar. This became the Grameen Bank, now with more than 7 million borrowers, the vast majority women, with repayment rates above 97%. In 2006, Muhammad Yunus and Grameen Bank were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. At independence, Bangladesh had a literacy rate of 17.6%. Today, it stands at 74.66%. Child marriage has fallen from 75% in 1997 to 51% in 2022. The floating schools serve 160,000 people who would otherwise lose months of education. Bangladesh doesn't need pity. A country called a basket case at birth has become one of Asia's most remarkable stories of transformation, not because its problems disappeared, but because its people refused to be defined by them. These are not separate facts. They are the same fact, seen from different angles. A country holding contradictions so extreme, so compressed, they seem impossible. Every number in this video is verified. The World Health Organization, the University of Chicago, the World Bank, Human Rights Watch, UNICEF, the Nobel Committee. 173 million people wake up every morning inside these conditions. They work in factories, kilns, shipyards, and sewer systems that would be illegal in any developed country. They drink water, slowly killing them. The air shortens their lives by years. And yet, they are also the people who built floating schools when floods took their roads. The people whose Nobel Prize-winning economist proved the poor are creditworthy and capable. The people who paint their rickshaws like rolling works of art because beauty costs nothing. Bangladesh does not need your pity. It needs your understanding. The shirt on your back might carry their story, stitched by hands you will never see, by a person earning in a month what you might spend on a single dinner. Their suffering and your daily life are part of the same system. What would you do, genuinely, if you had been born into the most polluted country on earth, in a factory making clothes for people who will never know your name? Leave your answer in the comments. I read every one. And if Bangladesh has changed how you see the world today, subscribe. There are dozens of countries like this, places carrying the weight of the global economy while remaining invisible to the people they serve. We are going to find every